Now, let me ask you about. I consider this guy a wild card just because I didn't follow much of his career at Boise State, but Auburn's first year head coach, Bryan Harsin, you got him as a B grade, and that's not a bad grade by any means, but I thought it might be a little bit higher, but maybe that's a factor of being at Boise. He was probably had a lot better talent than a lot of the competition he was going up against. So, what are your thoughts on Auburn's new head coach, Bryan Harsin?
I like the hire that Auburn made, and you're absolutely right. The reason his grade isn't sky high as some of the other ones are is because he had a massive talent advantage at Boise State over the rest of the Mountain West. Massive. I mean, it was you think about Ohio State over the Big Ten or Clemson over the ACC. It was even more of a big gap than that. So he was used to at Boise State having the upper hand in roster talent week in and week out. Where I think uh, Auburn fans need to be really excited is who they picked up as defensive coordinator. I love the Derek Mason hire. He's a great defensive coordinator. He was at Stanford. The first couple of years at Vanderbilt when he called defenses there were good for the talent discrepancy that he was facing. And also they were able to pull Mike Bobo, who is also a proven offensive coordinator in the SEC. So I'm actually pretty excited about that staff to see what they can get done there, and on the plains.
Now, I know this, you just made me think of something. I wasn't prepared to ask you this, but because I don't really know there's any way you could calculate this, but do you give any kind of, favoritism to someone that maybe has experience within the league? Like you just referenced Derek Mason, Mike Bobo, SEC veteran coaches, now helping a first year head coach in the SEC. Is that something that you ever think about, or is that maybe just doesn't equate in your model here?
In a roundabout way, it does because those coaches are used to facing the amount of roster talent in the SEC. So that is kind of baked into their grade and into their rating, depending on where they're at. Let's say they went from Alabama to Vanderbilt, it might not work in their favor. But for example, Derek Mason was at Vanderbilt, where the roster talent is routinely in the bottom one or bottom two, and at least at first his defenses were pretty competitive at Vanderbilt when he was calling the defenses. So that is something that will bump that grade up quickly. Mike Bobo, the same thing at South Carolina. South Carolina has a little bit less roster talent than Auburn does compared to the rest of the SEC, and Mike Bobo was able to do some good things there. Also, when he was at Georgia before, so he has experience with the amount of roster talent he's going to have at his disposal, as well as those he'll be facing week in and week out. So that does kind of in a roundabout way bake into the coach's grade and ratings.